very excited to start this technology session by introducing you to a new class of materials called PFAS, as in perfluoroacid substances. If you have not heard of them, take a look at your raincoats, those Gore-Tex. So it sounds all good, but unfortunately, it's a toxic and dangerous material. And just a few days back, those who are readers of Santa Fe Mexican newspaper, I found that the water around the place I live, Santa Fe Airport, has 6 times the safe limits of this PFAS material. And the bad thing is, PFAS is not like vitamins that you take extra and then drink a lot of water and then use restroom a couple of times and you get rid of it. It just stays there. And it's known to cause all sorts of issues like cancers and reproductive issues and high cholesterol levels. So it's not good. To give you a sense of how much we are reliant on these materials, as of 2023, we use there was worldwide use of 27,000 tons of this material. And if you just take a minute and think of how much of that would have gone to waste, I mean, it just blew my mind. And hydrogen is, you might have heard, it's an emerging area. And the sad thing is, it's also reliant on this technology. So you might know of Toyota Mirai and Hyundai fuel cell car, those on the right-hand side. They use a battery kind of system. It has hydrogen and oxygen, and there's a component, this green component in between that sort of prevents these gases from mixing and keep it safe, much like the separator that Doug discussed in the morning. And it's based on PFAS. And there's no alternative that beats the performance and reliability of it right now. I talked there's nothing that can come close to the performance and the durability it offers. Toyota has a very ambitious goal of moving completely away from this PFAS-based materials by 2030. And Ionomer is probably the only company, more like a startup in this space, who is trying to raise awareness and believes that sooner or later we'll be at a technology shortage when the PFAS regulations come to the picture. So what I am doing is I'm trying to make a hydrocarbon membrane that does not contain fluorine components and replace it across the entire hydrogen ecosystem. So I try to make a cartoon to make it easier to understand. So like traditional batteries, like on the left-hand side, use a chemical as in a polymer or a separator. And if you use what's currently in the market, then because it's not good enough, components make, and there is leakage and there is breakage. But based on our proprietary additives technology, we have been able to demonstrate that we can push the durability by at least 60% higher. And if you just replace the old component with our component, nothing else changes, everything else remains the same, then you have a happy battery. What sets it different, our technology different, is because we are working on a material that's not corrosive or anything, so you don't have to spend a bunch of money on corrosion resistant equipment and all those facilities that you would need for doing something like a PFAS. So you cut down costs quite a bit. It's very durable, that means it lasts longer. There are PFAS regulations in place, some are coming through, and therefore you don't make it work for our customers, which is a problem for PFAS. You cannot change it, you just have to work with what's available. So We hope to, if we do a startup, the hope is will be in the market as a membrane supplier, and then as we have gained customer trust and then have enough credibility in the market, potentially venture into product development. It'll be a direct sales approach, and as I mentioned, we can modify the membrane and make it work for different kind of customers, and that's very different from this market. There's just one component, and you just have to make it work. These are, on the right-hand side, some of the customers that would potentially use our material. We have already demonstrated, as I shared, it's based on a proprietary additives technology. We have demonstrated on existing PFAS-based material and hydrocarbon-based materials that our additive can push the durability at least 60% higher. That's where we are. We have already filed a patent working with a hydrocarbon supplier for licensing, and Toyota, General Motors, and Johnson Matthey, we are in talks about partnership. This membrane could be used in a variety of markets. So all the hydrogen technologies like fuel cells for driving cars or trucks, and electrolyzers for making hydrogen, flow batteries, water pretreatment, selective ion recovery. But to begin with, we'll start off as a hydrogen fuel cell membrane supplier, which as of 2022 was a $1.3 billion market. So if we are successful in demonstrating our membrane, that's the kind of market we are probably aiming to disrupt. These are some of the players in the market. So Chemours and Gore dominate the market. They are probably the only supplier of PFAS in North America, and they are not cheap. That membrane is like $20 a kilogram. They are based on PFAS, and you just have to work with it. You cannot change it. There are two hydrocarbon membrane manufacturers right now, one based in Canada, one is Creton, which is now acquired by a Korean company, but their membrane is pretty substandard in terms of properties. There are some other players like Sulfion and Fumacep, but their technology is more like an R&D stage. Team, as of now, it's me. I have extensive experience in developing materials across a fuel cell. Several years of experience now in working on durability and device validation. Also Rod Borup on the team as an advisor who has over 30 years of experience in durability, and Yoo-Sang Kim, which is expert, widely recognized expert in polymer design and hydrocarbon membranes. Where we are, I'm already working on demonstrating our full-fledged membrane concept, and hope to have an answer by June 2024, when we'll start talking with the customers. By this year end, the hope is we'll have some licensing agreements in place. Mid of next year, the hope is that we'll be able to design a large enough piece of membrane that we can share with the potential customers and have a reasonable feedback. And then by the end of next year, if I really ended up doing a startup, have our first customer in place and start planning the scale up and manufacturing. What I am looking for from this community is strategic partners and probably research partners if you are in the same area or excited to work on it, and potential funding opportunities. That brings me to the end of the presentation. This is where we are, and if you like what we are doing, please connect with me. This is a giant QR code for my LinkedIn page. Thank you so much.
Is there any way for you to accelerate your commercialization plan? Because you laid out a timeline that's about 18 months, and I fear there'll be a lot of activity in this space over the next 18 months. So it'd be nice if you could push faster. Is that possible or not realistic?
Yes, absolutely possible. So The thing is, I have not made up my mind on whether I want to venture out or not. If we do, then I think we can do it in a couple of months in terms of product validation and have a small piece ready if we have more people on the team, like maybe maybe one or two people. Right now, it's just me handling a bunch of different projects except this. So,
Okay. Well, very exciting. And also, can you comment on how the performance of the non-fluorinated polymers compare to the fluorinated membranes?
the performance is lower as it stands right now. So there's about a 20% decline in performance. But talking to the customers like Toyota and General Motors, uh, they can make the performance work, but they don't want a car to fail in the middle of the road just because they wanted to work with a cheaper material or non-reliable material. So durability is the key. Performance can be dealt with.
Hey, Tanya, really exciting technology.
Thank you.
I'm curious about the logic of your go-to-market strategy. How have you landed upon the hydrogen applications as your first opportunity? Give me some of the logic behind that. Is that where the most pain is or the most potential return on investment? How do you think about that?
The first reason is because I have been working in this area for 5 years. So that's where my expertise is. And I think the other reason is it's a developing area. It's we have some vehicles in the road, but they have a set of problems. So you cannot like widely roll out a bunch of like other technologies have already advanced quite a bit. So this is the right time for hydrogen to make a change before it goes too far, is what I think.
Super exciting stuff. Thank you for sharing that with us, Tanya. Particularly kind of curious of how, you would want to, because I noticed that your ask today was kind of like the partnerships in the ecosystem here. Can you shed a little bit more color on how you would evaluate or prioritize the partnerships to kind of like accelerate the commercialization?
Yeah, so the way this industry work is they need a certain size of the material to work with, and it works on like networking sort of in a way. So when I have a material ready, the first step would be to share it with somebody like Toyota or General Motors, and they would put it on a stack, which is a bunch of different cells together. And then they test it, and they have their own protocols that they would not share with me. We have a lab scale protocol, and then they have their own protocol. And if that works there, then it goes further. So this is how it works. And we don't have the technology in the lab to test it on a stack level. We can only do a single cell. So that partnership would be best, I think, at this point.
Wonderful initiative there, Tanya, and dreaming about kind of fixing something that has been polluting our body. And the best dreams are the ones that don't let you sleep. So speaking on the note, so polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, they have been there since 1950. Right. And it has been used like across, even in the cookware, like Teflon. So two questions, two parts. Is this something that you are thinking to kind of expand beyond just what you are right now focusing on, the scalability aspect of it? Secondly, how probably slightly less inexpensive membrane, how do you kind of compete with the status quo, what is already there? So there are two parts to this question. Thank you.
I think the awareness about this material is rising. We have been using it for several decades now, but people are not really sure what they're putting in their body. So the perception, for example, Teflon, we know does not degrade. But that's not, I mean, it's true and not true. It depends on what kind of material you're working with and what the size of that material looks like the weight of that material, molecular weight. So as awareness for this material is rising, people are getting increasingly concerned. We have, I think New Mexico pioneered this, this discussion on what you're putting into your body. So I think as awareness will rise, people would just by health and environmental concern want to switch to something that's safer, is how I would put it.
And the cost advantageous, because I know the awareness is there, but you need to really have an ecosystem support from the policymakers to institutionalize this. and
Mhm.
also the cost factor will play out. So what is your vision on kind of making this really competitive, that people will be motivated to adapt this?
Oh, it'll cost a fraction. So maybe I did not emphasize the point, but PFAS is very corrosive material. So, and then for example, I cannot do PFAS in my lab. It needs a special facility to do it. So when you are working on a thing like this, you first have to have all your equipments highly corrosive resistant, which is expensive. Then you need a bunch of safety protocols in place. That means you employ a bunch of more people to facilitate those safety protocols. And then the material itself is expensive. Hydrocarbons is, I don't know, I mean, you can do it in your kitchen. It's safe.